Hey guys, Pace Morby here. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a video with one of my heroes, Robuilt.
Really?
Freaking Robuilt. This guy is
unbelievable. You're my hero.
Your editing style, your cadence, your storytelling, everything about what you guys are doing is just absolutely unbelievable. I love your guys' team and what you guys are doing. And today we're going to be going through top 10 burning questions from your guys' Instagram DMs. So let's get into it. Do you think the short-term rental market like Airbnb will have a major crash?
No, not a major crash. I think what a lot of people are seeing right now is a dip in bookings, but 2020 and 2021 were insanely unrealistic.
Yeah.
We hit all these records, and so now we're going back to like regular seasonality, and people think the sky is falling.
Yeah.
So even if it slows down a little bit, here's what I always tell people is that in Airbnb, the cash on cash game was always like 30 to 50%. And now that people are getting 15%, I'm like, do you still understand that 15% is like 1.5 times what you're gonna get in the stock market, long-term rentals? Even if returns do fall, it's still gonna be, in my opinion, the only place to get a decent return in real estate.
And the thing is, what's your alternative? To sit on the sidelines and do nothing? The cool thing about Airbnb is that if you own the property, you also get the depreciation, the tax benefits, you get the appreciation of future value, you also get the loan pay down, and then as you build that equity, sometimes what we're doing on our properties, I'm leaning the property and going buying the multifamily deals. Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't want 15% cash on cash returns? You're crazy.
Okay, let me just, one more thing, all right? Cash on cash return is what everyone worries about, which is great. You want to know how hard your money is working for you in a year's time, but when you factor in the debt pay down, the depreciation, the appreciation, your actual ROI a lot of the times is double the cash on cash metric. So if you get a 15% cash on cash return over the course of 5 years, it's very possible that your ROI is like 30 to 35% on top of the actual equity that you built in the house. So it's like, do it. Just get into real estate.
Do you see why he has more subscribers than we do? Okay, so what's the best way to get into Airbnb? Any particular property? Because I think what they're talking about is, should I do glamping? Should I do this? Should I jump into, take a hotel and convert it? Like, what's the easiest way to get in?
Okay, my favorite way to get into Airbnb for people getting started is a house hack. A lot of people really sleep on a house hack. I attribute all of my wealth from the first house hack I ever got, because with all the rents that I ever got from renting out the tiny house in my backyard or the studio under my house or a room in my house, totaled $200,000 over the course of that house that I owned. $200,000 that I was able to snowball into like over 35 properties, basically.
House hack.
House hack, do it.
So somebody like gets you go get an FHA loan.
3.5% down, very small.
Duplex, triplex, fourplex type of situation. Rent out the other units. You're crushing it.
That's like bigger scale. You can even, if you like only have enough house,
rent a room.
Rent a room in your house for 50 to 100 bucks a night.
Easy, guys. Ooh, is Airbnb in rural areas like Flagstaff, Prescott still viable?
Yeah, for sure. I probably talked about it a little bit too much because I feel like all those places went up, but I tend to buy real estate in 4 different areas: national parks, state parks, eclectic towns, and vacation destinations. Vacation destinations are typically going to be like lake towns, beach towns, mountain towns, ski towns, and state parks and national parks are always in rural areas, and those are always my highest performers.
Great answer. I freaking love that. Should I do Airbnb or a traditional rental as my exit strategy?
I think you should go into Airbnb, but when you're running your numbers, you should try to make it work as a long-term rental or a mid-term rental. That way, if the short-term rental game ends up being too much work for you, if you can't handle all the Karens or all the work that goes into the passive Airbnb, then you can always put it as a long-term rental and at least break even on it or make a little bit of money. But as we talked about, there's so many tax benefits that it's not really breaking even. You actually end up making money over time.
Ooh. Great answer. Another great question. Do you recommend getting my furniture through online or on a payment plan through a furniture company store?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess, are you still going to finance it online or are you going to buy it all at once?
I think you got to do finance because either way you got a payment plan. Do you go online or do you go through like a company furniture store like What do they have? Rent-a-centers and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, don't do that. That's like that interest is terrible.
Like 25%.
Yeah, and the quality of those places are really, really bad. Like when I'm buying furniture, when I'm starting an Airbnb business, I always tell people that your number one investment A, needs to be photographs, but B, needs to be furniture.
Yeah.
Buy nice, not thrice, because if you buy cheap furniture, it's gonna break on you, then you're gonna have to replace it, and then you're gonna have to buy it a second time, twice, right? And then you're gonna have to replace that, but then you're gonna have to hire a cleaning crew or a maintenance man to come in and dispose of the old furniture and then build the new furniture. That will break, and then the third time you end up buying the nicest piece of furniture that you should have bought the first time, and now you end up spending the money like
Buy
3
nice,
times.
not thrice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. I've never heard that before.
That's because I coined it on the Robuilt channel.
I have a Subto that qualifies for a short-term rental. How do I start? This is from Edgar. So Edgar, first, buy the property Subto. Second, turn it into an Airbnb. There you go.
Easy. Watch our channels to find out how.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, what is one thing that is commonly overlooked? So like, maybe this is the pet peeve department. Something that you see people do or overlook. I think overlook is a great thing. People don't. One thing that my team overlooks, to give you like a tee up on this, is that when I buy a property like this, my team forgets to turn on the electricity and the power and the water.
Oh, I see.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, give me a second. Let me think about
What's
that.
something in the Airbnb world that you see your students or other people that you're hanging out with in the Airbnb, like cool kid club? What are they overlooking? What are they screwing up? Are they doing?
Oh, got it.
I got one that my team screwed up. Yesterday, I'm walking through one of our Airbnbs, and half the house is decorated with like cactus vibe, and I'm like, I really like this. And then I walked down the hallway, and my team had Paris, France photos and all sorts of stuff. The theme was not correct.
I see.
There was a messed up theme. It was just not cool. And I go, why did we do this? And they said, because we just had that stuff laying around. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of stuff that you see people do wrong, or does that not matter?
Generally, people aren't really designing a furniture palette cohesively. I'm a big fan of juxtaposing furniture palettes. Like if you have a cabin, I like to juxtapose like the cabin look with like a bohemian chic look. So I do like mixing patterns that complement each other, but a lot of times people are like, they don't understand that there's strategy there, so they just start buying like, oh, that's a nice chrome lamp. Oh, that's a nice like micro suede couch. Oh, that's a nice green rug. And they buy it because the furniture is cheap, or like the furniture is like budget friendly, or something's on sale. And then when you stage it all together, it doesn't look good at all. So that's a big one. The second thing that I really get just pissed off at people, like real mad, is when they don't hire a professional photographer. A lot of people will come in and say, oh, I've got the iPhone 10 or 12 or 11 or iPhone 5. And they take these like photos.
Definitely don't take photos of the iPhone 5.
Yeah,
Yes.
they look like they've been taken on a potato phone.
Yeah.
And then like they're like, hey, I'm not booking. Will you like critique my listing? And then it's like the photos are dark. They didn't open the windows. They're grainy. They put like Instagram filters on it. And I'm like, if you spend $200 to $500 on professional photos, you will make that money back over the course of a week. Like
Agreed.
Immediately. I spent money on professional photos one time and got a $10,000 booking within 2 days.
Holy moly. Is it too saturated to join Airbnb?
I don't think that oversaturation really matters if you're a top 10% host.
Right.
Saturation really affects people who mail it in. The people that are buying used furniture, getting free furniture off of Craigslist.
What do you mean by mail it in?
People who are just doing a bad job at Airbnb. They're not putting any love or any passion or any strategy into it. They're just getting a place and then they're kind of throwing furniture in it, right? They're putting the old furniture in there. They're not automating it. They're not using pricing software. And then they're just they have like a crappy Airbnb. And so yeah, like they are the ones that are going to suffer in oversaturation, because we have people like my students or people like my community that are spending like a lot of time and effort to make their place as pristine and as best as possible. When I'm working with the student, I always say, hey, try to be the top 10% host in your market, because if you do that, the other 90% of the people are the people that are always going to be struggling.
You covered a couple of these already. What are 5 big mistakes that an Airbnb property manager makes? And you said one. Not using automations, not taking proper photos, you're buying thrice, not nice. Anything else that comes off the top of your head? What are some other top 5 big mistakes that people make on top? You already got 3, give me 2 more.
Okay, panicking too soon. This is a really big one, right? Shit goes wrong all the time, and like they're like, oh my God, my business is over, and they stress out. What they should be doing is thinking, okay, who have I hired to address all the different problems that might come up, right? And Airbnb functions because you have what I call the Airbnb Avengers. So it's gonna be your cleaning crew, your handyman, your contractor, your pest control person, your landscaper, and your pool maintenance person. Those are like the big 6 that are on every single one of my teams in every single market. So when something goes wrong, I'll have my cleaning lady go out and she'll check it out and report back. And if something is broken, then my handyman will go out and fix it. But a lot of people get in this mindset of like, oh my God, I got to get out there. They haven't built out the teams to do that. And so whenever something goes wrong, it can really ruin their week because they haven't really put the systems in place to basically manage a team versus being the ones that being the person that's in the weeds trying to fix everything.
Can you guys tell he knows what he's talking about? Last question. This is probably the one that everybody's going to ask you for the next year, maybe 2 years. Can you guess what the question is?
Is Airbnb over?
Is Airbnb slowing down?
Oh, this is hard to say because
you had a great question earlier. You were talking about just because a couple of last years it was 40% cash on cash return doesn't mean 15% cash on cash return is still not good.
I mean, I'm still looking at deals right now that are 20 to 30%. The thing is, people they had it easy the past 2 years, right? You can go in, you can make an offer, you can maybe even make an offer 100 grand over and still make cash flow, right? But now, those deals aren't as easy to find, and thus people are like, oh, the deals don't exist, so it's all over.
Right.
You still have to work for your deal. They're not gonna just be handed to you, right? When you're doing a sub-2 deal, it's pretty rare, I'm sure, that someone just calls you and says, hey, I got a deal. I mean, probably you, but most people, no one just calls you and says...
It took about 5 years.
Yeah.
About 5 years for people to recognize that that's something they could do, but that's not what happens.
Yeah, you have to work for it, though, right? This deal that we're at this property...
We worked for it.
You worked for it. You went and you found it, you negotiated it, you closed it, you're here, now you're fixing it. You have to work for every deal. It's not going to be handed to you. And so a lot was handed to the Airbnb community for the last 3 years. It's not anymore. And so, yeah, it's going to be harder.
That's interesting because it's like people go, hey, where can I find an apple? Well, you go down to the grocery store. It's like, okay, that's super easy. That's really easy. What do you do when there's no more apples? Do you tell people, oh my gosh, the whole world is out of apples? No. Back 100 years ago, 200 years ago, they had to plant apple trees, guys. You had to do the work. You had to cultivate. You had to make sure that things germinated and you created a tree. We just got spoiled, man. Mm-hmm. People are freaking spoiled.
That's a good metaphor. I really think it's that, right? When you really want something, let's just say that there's something that you want. When you really want something, if it's sold out, what do? You go to another store, and then another store, another store. Oh, it's not there. Then you go online, and you go online, and you wake up really early whenever it's restocked, and then you buy it. You really had to put the work in to get that thing that you wanted. Airbnb is the same thing. It's a numbers game. You have to put in so many offers to actually get one accepted. And so if you walk into Airbnb thinking that you're going to put in 3 offers and get something accepted, I'm sorry, you might have to put in 30. And it's the people that are willing to put in 30 deals are the ones that are going to actually make money in the next couple of years.
That's a really great analogy. We wanted the FX6, the awesome Sony cinema camera, and we had a hard time finding it, right? It was oversold. Everybody during COVID was buying these cameras. And I went and found one. I freaking went everywhere. And I ended up buying one on eBay for $1,000 over what it was worth. But we immediately started making money on it. Meanwhile, people go, oh, I can't find the camera, so I'm just going to go buy this other thing. Or, my favorite person goes, I can't find an A7S III, the Sony that everybody uses for the most part. And they go, I'll hold off a year until I can find that camera, until it basically lands in my inbox, until they notify me that it's back in stock. Guys, nobody's notifying you when things are just sitting there on the shelf. Somebody else is going to come and grab it. So go get what you freaking want. Holy crap. Bro, thank you.
That was great. Sure.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed that and you want Robuilt to come back on our channel, please make a comment down below. And while you're doing that and you took your hand off the mouse and you're doing the thing, go over to his channel and make sure you subscribed if you already haven't. The best person on Airbnb on YouTube. Go over there, hit subscribe, show him and his team some love, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
And let me just say, for the next hour that this is, just for the existence of this video, I'm going to go into the comments and I'm going to answer all of your questions, all right? Because you offered that to my audience, all right? So ask your questions and I'll see you down in the comments. All right.